Okay, we are in 31b4, and it is Ein Yaakov. We are going to be dealing with what we say every Friday night. And here we go. Al Shlosha Avero, for 3 sins. Nashim Meito B'Sha'ad L'Datan, do women die in the time of childbirth? And namely, Al She'enan Ziro Benida V'Chala V'Hadlach L'Ner. For 3 things. 1, they weren't careful in Nida, in keeping the laws of Nida, the menstruation laws, staying away from her husband, so on and so forth, taking the portion of dough taking a portion of the dough, which is called challah, and also lighting Shabbat candles. Interesting enough, 2 out of the 3 are biblical. The last one is the Rabbanan. Halakat Ner is the Rabbanan. Why the rabbi said we have to light Shabbos candles?
To remind you that it's Shabbos night?
No, not to remind you of Shabbos night, because of Shalom Bayit. The people would walk into the house, it was dark. If the woman moved the furniture around, then the husband would have tripped over it, or the toys on the ground, the husband would have tripped over it, he would start cursing. So in order to avoid all those problems, the rabbis declared that women should light candles. We're going to find out other reasons, but that is the main reason for Shalom Bayit.
So those candles weren't just Shabbos candles, they were just candles to light the house. And they were designated for the Shabbos, because you can't light
yes. We were told that we have to light them, but now the question would be, why do we have to light 2 candles? Right. And that would be Shemov Zachor, for the 2 words, remember and guard and keep, guard and remember. I'm sorry, I said the other way. Zachor Shemov is remember and guard. So positive and negative agreements, and then you would have other things that we have to make a bracha on, because the rabbis decreed that Erev Shabbos we should do it. Why only Erev Shabbos? Why not any other time? Because the husband can light the candles any other time. He doesn't need the woman to do it. Okay, or he can walk in, you turn the lights on. You don't have to wait for your wife to you don't have to wait for your wife to turn the light on in your room before you walk in. It's not a halakha. Okay, so the Anav Yosef has an interesting take on all of this, which I want to go through. I'll be quite honest, I don't understand every part of it, okay? Because there's and some of it seems that it is, well, you'll see what I'm talking about. I can't even say it yet, so you'll see. It says, on 3 things does a woman die from need, again, by the way, one other thing. Why do they die at childbirth, at this particular thing? So, he explains, as the Gemara will explain, a woman in childbirth is in peril and requires special kindness from Hashem to survive this dangerous time. Although on the whole her merit may be sufficient to see her through ordinary situations, it may be insufficient to gain for her the special protection necessary to overcome moments of extreme danger, which childbirth was, and to some cases still is, people would argue. Childbirth is therefore a time when she is in effect more vulnerable to punishment for wrongdoing. For example, the withholding of Hashem's special kindness. And he says it's true for anyone who is in danger. For the Mishnah speaks for the reason why the Mishnah speaks of women, in particular, we'll find out in the next notes. Okay. But the bottom line is that a woman, when she's in danger, or anybody when they're in danger, they need special zechutim, special merits. So here, the rabbi said, if the woman is careful in these 3 matters, and for reasons that will be determined, so then they will have that special merit, and they will be zocha, they will merit to live through the pregnancy. Okay, so now the Anav Yosef, like I said, he says, first I'll give the Hebrew. Vatam, the reason is the davka al shlosh elu. Is the reason for these particular 3 mitzvot is because the woman was commanded of these things from Hashem. Now that's interesting. For the Anav Yosef, again, Nida and Chala, I'm not arguing. But when it comes to Hadlakat Neirot, that is clear enough from Hashem. Okay, but because that's from the rabbis. So he says these things were given from Hashem to the woman to complete her chisaron, her lacking. That was interesting. That's what he's saying, is to complete her lacking, which is not the case for the male. A male doesn't need these three things to complete to be complete. And why? Because a man has three things, and they are the part of man: seichel, nefesh, and guf. They have intellect, if you will, a soul and a body. I'm not reading right. Kol elu gimel chalakim eno etzla b'shlemut ke'erech hazachar. But when it comes to women, these three elements are not equal or complete like they are with a male.
That's interesting.
That is, like I said, I have no idea what he's talking about.
Explain that.
No. He's saying they're not, when it comes to seichel, nefesh, and guf, they're not as complete. They have those elements, and these three mitzvot are going to give them the booster shot to make them complete, but they're not, for some reason, they are not as complete as a man in these three things. For all those who hold that women and men are equal, I don't know what to tell you. Okay? According to this, it's not. So, l'chach. And therefore, Natan Hashem Yitbarach, that's why Hashem gives them these three mitzvot to complete their lacking. Why? Near mitzvah, the mitzvah of lighting the candles. Shehi adlaka near tikam seichel. This lighting of the candle is the tikkun, is the repair for the seichel. That is in man. Why? Because it's known that seichel, again, intellect is similar to a candle that is hama'ir la'adam, that gives over light to man. So by her giving over by her lighting the candle, she is the one causing light, causing intellect to go out. That is her tikkun, for her repair for the lack of seichel, or the complete seichel that she needs. I'm not saying lack of. Lack of is not the right word, but it's a missing part.
So he has no proof per se. He's drawing an inference. It sounds like it's just. So because why did I have this mitzvah? Perhaps it looks like it's because to bring this.
He's saying it's a tikkun. He's saying it's a repair. Yeah. So again, he's not saying perhaps.
He's not saying where that comes from. Where.
No.
I mean,
no. If he did, then
which commentator is this?
This is the Anaf Yosef.
When was he?
I'm not sure. But it's it's just fascinating. When I saw this, I was like, wow. I mean, I'm sort of afraid to put it online, but no. For the three people who watch this one, they're following this. But it's just an interesting statement, that because we always think that people are equal when it comes to this, that everybody is seichel, nefesh, and guf. And how, even if you say no to seichel, by the way, even if you say we all think differently, okay, men and women do not think the same. We all know that. Men are, they always talk about men, that men compartmentalize everything.
Is seichel the ability to think, or is that a level overall intelligence? Seichel is your ability to think.
The way that we always use seichel is thinking.
Thinking, okay.
But even there, men think differently than women. Okay. Men are very singularly focused. That's why we don't multitask well. Women are all over the place. They can handle 5 things at once, or 10, whatever they're doing, and they can handle all that. We cannot. Which is why when we are arguing, if we argue amongst each other, man to man, then we can pretty much stay on the topic. When you're arguing with a woman, well, everything's part of that topic. Now they understand where they are going. We don't. That's just the difference of male and female minds, and we have to admit to that. I mean, it's not a prejudice statement. It's just the truth. Women are all over the place, and yet they're focused, and men have to be only focused, and they can't be all over the place. If they go all over the place, they lose their train of thought. So it's just an amazing thing. Why Hashem did that? I think it's the reason. By the way, I think the reason Hashem did that was because of kids. Because a woman was normally home, and so they had to deal with the kids and the house and this and that. They were the house. They were the lord of the manor. So they had to run everything. And the man, how much did he have to do? He had to listen to the guy, hunt for the animals.
Do his work, whatever his work
is. Just take out the garbage. Take out the garbage. Okay, what else? Give me a list and I'll do it. But if you tell me how many times this, my wife told me, well, okay, you go in the store, do me a favor, pick up. Blah, 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 blah. Now, what do I say to her? Make out a list. What? You can't remember 3 items? Make the list. And check it twice. If I make out the list. And then what happens is I have to keep the list because when I shop, she says, you got the wrong thing. I put the list in front of her. And she said, see what I wrote down? And she's usually right. I read it wrong. Which is really bad, You have the list, you still can't read it. But okay, what can you do? But that's man. Man thinks like that. It has to be. That's why, by the way, when you guys get married, if you go shopping for your wife, if you normally don't go shopping, let's say she normally goes, and she sends you to the store, she will write it in order of the aisles that you go down because she knows that men go up and down the aisles, up and down the aisles. That's what we do. Okay, women. When my mother would go shopping, she could go from one aisle to the second and come back to the because she knows what she wants, but she wants to get that first before the other stuff. So she can be walking around the whole store 3 times just to get the stuff.
If you know the store.
Yeah. Right. But that's what she's doing. So she would walk up and down. Me, I would just walk up and down and pick up what I'm going to get at. So if I know there's only what, am I right or wrong?
That's true.
That's what it is. Okay. So that's another difference between male and female. So we definitely have differences. So now when he's saying a tikkun for the repair for the seichel, I think that's where we have to go. Yeah. That he was looking at it as there's not the same thing. So if I'm going to, Hashem causes her to bring light into the world. There's going to be another reason because she brought death into the world. That's going to be the other reason for this. But he's saying with seichel.
Would I be saying correctly if I say that he's not saying this in a negative way?
No, it's not negative. The rabbis had no concept of what we deal with today. None. They didn't understand why. That's why they didn't understand that. If you say something, it sounds derogatory. They weren't interested. They were saying this is what the Torah is telling us. And I'll even give you more. When it came to women's lib, the original women's lib, the question is, why didn't the rabbis speak about this a long time ago? There's the women are second class, blah, blah, blah. And here we're seeing Esha Chal Yimsa all the way through the every Shabbos, telling you how that the woman goes to work and she's doing this, she's doing that. She's running the organization. And so we never saw women as second class. We never saw that. We never saw them as non-workers. We never saw that. We never held that. So when they came out with this sort of stuff, the rabbis didn't know what to do with it. They were thinking, people are insane, you secularists. We don't do this. So they never answered it. And so as a result of them being quiet about it, everybody assumed that they, shtika kamodadami. If I'm quiet, it means I must be agreeing with you that we're second class. So until they finally got it, and then they started to speak up. No, it's not that way. It's but then you're into apologetics, so you're behind the 8 ball. So no matter what you do, you lose. But when you look at what the rabbis here are saying, they're not saying insultingly. They're saying this is the nature of the beast, and Hashem gave us repairs for this, and that's why the rabbis picked on these 3. That's why the Mishnah picks on these 3 matters because they're a tikkun for the soul. Or to whatever it's going to be. Okay, so it says, so now, when the woman proceeds or fulfills the mitzvah of lighting the candles on Shabbat, shehu mitzvah elakit, which is a mitzvah of Hashem, which again, it's amazing he's saying that. That is the tikkun, that is repair of the intellect. Tahara isha midam nidche devar zeh gam kein taharat nefesh. Also, when she goes to the mikvah, she's cleansing herself from the blood of nida. This is also, it says v'tiharta nefesh. That's referring to the soul. Ki adam hu nefesh, because the blood is what makes the soul. So when she goes to the mikvah and she takes, she does need it properly. So that is repair of her soul. There's a chisaron. There's a missing part, and that is that her nida cycle is that completion if she does it properly. So now when the woman cleanses herself from the blood, from this blood, shehu dam tameh, which is dam, impure dam, mituav, okay, for who mitzvah elakit, again that's a mitzvah from God, as nafsh tahara, then her nefesh will be cleansed. V'chala, what's that for? Hu dom guf adam. That is, the chala is the body of man. Ki aguf adam hu kamo isa morevet, because the body of the man is like dough that is kneaded. V'chein amru, kneaded as in K-N-E. Okay. V'chein amru midrash al adam rishon. So also says in the midrash about the first man, B'shah, I think it's B'shah. It's blotted out there. Must be B'shah. Revi'et min yom, on the fourth hour of the day, Gavlu HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Where is it? Oh yeah. So Hashem needed it. Ki harehi b'riyat gufo shel adam, that which was the body of the man. Ki ilu magbil ad isa, just like he would need dough. So therefore we know that the body is vadai, like is certainly like the dough. So now when a man separates chala, and the chala is a mitzvah of Hashem, kadosha, as hachala hu hatikona isha. So then the chala becomes a tikkun, a repair for the woman in the body, ad sheyesh kedusha, until there's holiness upon her, right? Because let me finish. There's holiness upon her. Gam kain, also this. Chol elu shalom mitzvot, and through all these three mitzvot, in his heart, yesh ba hachana el ruach hakodesh kamo zachar. So if she does these three mitzvot, then she is preparing herself for the Ruach HaKodesh. That's his repair, by the way. That's where he's going with this. If she prepares herself, if she's careful in these three mitzvot, then she prepares herself to receive, to be the recipient of Ruach HaKodesh like the man. The man is natural, is prepared with all this because Hashem prepared him for it, gave him the seichel, gave him the guf, gave him the nefesh. And so the woman had to work a little more for it through these three mitzvot, but what she does, that's a chana to have her Ruach HaKodesh. Zeu she'amru b'midrash shnei pa'amim k'tiv eli. Okay, twice it says in Tehillim, my God. So Amra Esther, the Fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what's going on, what Esther said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when she said, Rabban Shel Olam, Shlosh Mitzvot, his heart to the Isha, she said, it's interesting Midrash, she says to the Rabban Shalom, Hashem, you warned women about three mitzvot, Nida, Chala, V'Hadlach, V'Ner, those three. Klum avarti ala chad mehen, since I did not transgress any of them, I always did them. Lama Savtani, why did you abandon me? To this, to Achashverosh. Rosh Lemo Kevon Shukiyamti Elu Mitzvot Mitzvot. Since I have established, since I fulfilled these three mitzvot, Yesh Bi Hachana El Ruach HaKodesh. So therefore, I prepared myself for Ruach HaKodesh. Kamo Zachar, like the man. Imkain Lama Savtani. Minishalk Me Man Ruach HaKodesh. So if that's the case, why do you abandon me and take away from me Ruach HaKodesh? You understand? So it's interesting that the Anav Yosef is seeing this Mishnah as a way to say this is a way. If women are careful in nida, chala, and lighting the candles, if they follow those laws, they are preparing themselves to receive Ruach HaKodesh. They don't have to meditate. They don't have to do all this mishagas, fast. 3 simple things, and those 3 things, according to Anaf Yosef, those things will bring her to be a receptacle for Hashem's divine communication. Yeah, your question is
when it says mentioning challah as one of the 3 things, doing
yes.
the separation of the dough, is that the same because it changed?
What changed?
When the temple was destroyed, you couldn't bring the challah as it was described to be for the priest. It was that separation for the bread.
Yes.
But now there's none of that, and I don't know. So is it still this? If it's not the same substance of sacrifice, is it the same thing?
Yes.
Not the same. Okay.
Yes. What happens is, since the Kohen can't eat it, that's why we burn it.
Right.
And this is also only in Israel, but it's so outside of Israel, when we're doing it like everything else in memory of the mitzvot to prepare ourselves. Ramban says, Nachmani says that the reason we do all these mitzvot outside of Israel is so that when we go back to Israel and we become obligated from the Torah's point of view, then we will know how to do it. If we don't continue to do them, we wouldn't know how to do them, right? If we didn't put tefillin on, imagine if we haven't put tefillin on for 2,000 years, then we wouldn't know what tefillin were. We wouldn't know what you're talking about. And if you would really want to get a real sense of that, you go to what we're learning right now in Daf Yomi about Zvachim. And they're talking about the temple and how many ramps there were and where you threw the blood and so on and so forth. Well, this is all theoretical because nobody's seeing it. We don't know what it looks like. And the proof is they're arguing about it. Remember, whenever there's an argument in Jewish law, it means we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. We have to argue it out logically, but and based upon certain things. But you have a memory like this. I have a memory like that. If you even want to see a real sense of that, is when you're talking about someone who's passed away. Okay, you had to deal with it twice, as I did, more than twice. But when your parents passed away and you're sitting with your brother, he had certain memories of your parents and you had certain memories of your parents, and both of them were not the same, right? And you said, "You sure we're talking about the same people?" But that's what goes on when we have no proof of what we're about to say. So now it becomes an argument in Jewish law. It becomes an argument of perception. So here also with the challah that. To follow the Ramban, if we wouldn't keep fulfilling this mitzvot, so only waiting to go back home to do it, so then, like I said, 2,000 years later, we wouldn't know how to read Hebrew. We wouldn't know how to do anything. But the fact that we kept it up, and even theoretically, we've kept it up. By the way, look at tzitzis. We all say techelet. We all say techelet, but we don't know what techelet is. You have some people who hold that they know what techelet is, and they cover their tzitzis with techelet. Gesundheit. You know what the Gemara says about that? You better be right. If you're wrong, you're in worse shape than if you didn't do it at all. You hear that? That's an important thing to say. For all you can ask why we don't put on. We're supposed to have techelet today. Why are we putting it on? Because we don't know.
I thought it didn't matter what color it was at all. If you're right, it's a mitzvah. You're doing a mitzvah. If it's wrong, I thought it didn't.
No. You're putting on techelet.
A talus, sisters could be any color whatsoever.
No. It can only be white.
Really?
Yeah. It has to be white and one string of techelet, or two, one long string, so 2 sides.
Yeah.
But it would be. If you put on another blue and call it techelet, they're saying it's techelet. So the point is, they're saying it's techelet. They're saying we know what techelet is, and this is what it is. Yes,
but they don't know.
But they claim they do. They said that we did the research. We know what it is. We know this is techelet. So if this is techelet, we have to wear it.
So if you colored one string blue and you say, it might be right. I don't know.
The Gemara says better not to color it blue.
Okay. That's why. The vast majority don't do it, in other words.
Right. We don't know. You have big rabbis who are not wearing techelet.
Right.
The question is, why? If we found if it's really true, so then we're chayiv. Yeah. But you don't know, and that's the problem. So if I don't know, it's better to shav el taseh. Leave me alone. I'll put on my tzitzis. I'll get the mitzvah for tzitzis.
Yeah.
So I missed techelet shkoyach. Okay, I didn't get that. But to put on something that's not techelet, to think it is techelet, to hold it techelet,
Then, okay.
you're getting yourself into trouble for no reason. But that's part of the problem because we lost it. We didn't maintain it, so we don't know what it is. So now we have fancy ways to get around it, but nonetheless, it's a problem. Yeah.
Wasn't that Korach's thing where he had the?
Korach said, "If I have a whole garment of techelet, why do I need tzitzis on it? Why do I need to put techelet on my tzitzis? In other words, I have a full garment that is that color, whatever techelet is, okay, whatever that color is. So now he went to Moshe. Do I need on my tzitzis? Do I need to have a techelet on one of those cords? Again, two sides. So, and Moshe said, yes. So he said, how ridiculous is that? If a whole garment of techelet, so I have the whole garment, so why would I need to have one cord on my fringes? Doesn't make sense. It should exempt the entire garment from that because it is that color. And so he was trying to use logic when it comes to this to show that it's still logical. And the ultimately answer is because God said so. But you can't say that to a person who doesn't believe that you're representing God. That was a real argument, right? I'm saying that Moshe is getting this from himself. And the same thing with the mezuzah. If I have a room filled with Sforim, okay, with Torot, so then do I still have to put a mezuzah on the doorpost? And of course Moshe says yes. So he said, that doesn't make sense. If I have a whole room that is filled with Sifrei Torah, this particular thing only has 2 parshiot of the Torah, and that exempts from certainly all the Torahs. If I have a room full of Torahs, it should exempt the room. But again, there's God. You don't tell me what God says. God doesn't make ridiculous rules like this up. God who has to run the world. He's not going to make crazy rules. Okay, and so again, if I don't believe that the Lord is telling me these things, and I want to take away your power, all I do is show you common sense to say that what you're saying is false. You understand? That's what Korach was doing. Today, the rabbis aren't doing that. They're not saying that we don't need techelet. Everybody's agreeing we need techelet. The question is, what is techelet? Is it blue, purple? Is it green, purple? Is it this? Is it blue? Is it purple? I don't know. What does it look like? So if you look on people's tzitzis, it looks like it's blue, or a bluish tinge. My sister is the artist, not me. For me, it's blue. Okay, but it's. I'm sure she could tell me what shade of blue it would be. It's not aqua. Aqua would be light. This is a darker blue. But the point is that I don't know what it is. So I'm relying upon the Rav who makes, or whoever is making my tzitzis up, to, if I'll be wearing techelet, to be telling me this what techelet is. And this is where it comes from. Again, that's the question, where did it come from? According to Rashi, the animals that got techelet, you all right?
Yeah, I was thinking of a joke.
Okay, thinking of a joke, good. Shkach, okay. I look like you're about to cry.
No.
So it can be a funny joke. Okay, so according to Rashi, it's from an animal that comes up or some sort of sea creature comes up every 70 years. So if it's something that comes up every 70 years, that's like a snail, I guess. So I don't even know what you're talking about. But if it's that, so how can you suddenly come? First of all, how do you make so many of them? There's a lot of dye from some sort of sea creature. And if it's not that, if it's a plant-based thing, which I don't think anybody agrees to it, but it could be it could maybe, or can you manufacture it synthetically? In other words, what are you doing? Now the Gemara is against synthetic manipulation. That's what the Gemara was saying. If I have something that looks like techelet, but that would be the examples of why the Ramban says we have to follow the mitzvot out here. Okay, so to answer your question about the challah. So even though we can't give the challah to the Kohen because we don't really know who the Kohanim are. I tell you I'm a Kohen, but I have no proof of my kahuna, except that my father's a kohen, my grandfather, and so on and so forth. But you can say to me, prove it, because I'm taking money out of your pocket, by the way. When you give me challah, is what we call a mochi mechaver alav haraya. If I'm taking money from your pocket, I have to give you proof that you owe it to me. So you have this challah that you have to give to a kohen. So if you give to the wrong guy, you haven't fulfilled your mitzvah. So now you have to prove that he's a kohen. So if I have somebody who I know is a kohen, I can give it to that kohen, no problem. But and I fulfill my mitzvah of challah. I assume I made enough dough for that. But and again, that is, once I go into Eretz Yisrael, then it's biblical. Out here it's rabbinic, but it's all part of the same thing. Okay? We're all good with that? Now here's the next part now here we're going to the Gemara, which again, I don't know what the first part's talking about. I'll be quite honest, I don't know. It says, Nida my time. So the killers of observance of the Nida laws. Why does this increase susceptibility to childbirth? So it says, Amar Rav Yitzchak. Rav Yitzchak said, he kilkala b'chadre bitna. She rebelled against Hashem's law through the chamber of her womb. Lafichach tilke b'chadre bitna. Therefore she is stricken in the chambers of her womb. The only way that I can understand that, the only potential I have for this, and unless the Gemara will discuss this later, is there is she did something with the snake that she should not have done. So that is that's why they call kayin, because it means contaminated nest. From the Zohar, we learned that she apparently had some sort of relations with the snake. I don't know how that works. Leave me alone. Again, I don't understand the Gemara. I don't understand the Zohar at that point. But whatever the case is going to be, she did something, and so as a result, she has to observe Nida carefully. Tinach Nida. This is well for the question of Nida. Chala v'hadlakat near Michael Lememar. What can be said for the chala and the kindling of the Shabbat candle? Why does laxity in these laws bring about death in childbirth? It was a certain Galilean once expounded before Rav Chisda Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Said that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God said, yeah, I don't know who the Galilean is.
No.
Okay.
But I'm thinking, why is it, if Cain's name is contaminated nest?
Yeah.
Why nest? Why is it like family or
I don't know. It's a
family.
play on words from Kina.
Right.
It's a play on words. Kana, so I say Kana is nest.
Oh.
Kana is nest, so Kayan. So they say contaminated nest because they want to indicate that. I mean, the reason that they're getting into that in the Zohar, just so you should understand, is they want to say, even though Cain was born, and this is from the Tomer Devar, even though Cain was born on the wrong side of the spiritual tracks, if you will, okay, he can't use that as an excuse to be a bad boy. Right. He has the ability via free will to become a good boy and follow Jewish law. In his case, the Shiva Mitzvah Noach. But even though there was no B'nai Noach at that point, so in other words, the commands, he had the choice to follow the laws of mankind, whatever God was saying, or he could rely upon, I was born on the wrong side of the tracks, and I'm a loser to begin with because who's like my father? My father was either the snake or Adam or whoever it was, or a mixture of the two of them. Actually, it would be a mixture of two of them. Yeah. So maybe the venom got into. I don't know what I'm not sure what the Gemara was, what the Zohar was really trying to say at that point. But that's why it's called contaminated nest, because of Khan. Khan is nest. Shaluch HaKhan, they're sending the bird away from the Khan, which is the nest. See, Hebrew, that's all. It's a play on words.
I know, like nest isn't usually a human sort of thing.
Again, it's a play on words. Yeah. Okay, so, she said, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, she said, so the HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Revi'at dam natati bachem. I placed a revi'as of dam in you to sustain the soul of man. And apparently the Gemara states elsewhere that the minimum amount of blood needed to sustain human life is a revi'as. What is a revi'as? 3.5 ounces. I don't know anything about this. Okay. So, say it again?
Maybe they had a different measurement for...
No. There was no different measurement. Revius is revius. You want to go 5 ounces, I'll give you 5 ounces. That's tops. You can think all you want. By the way, you don't know because we never drained a person.
Yeah.
Okay. When we start taking out blood from a person, how much? What's it called? The blood banks. How much blood do you take out?
Less than an ounce. Yeah, I'm not
Less
sure.
than an ounce?
I'm not sure.
I can't make it just an ounce.
I don't know.
Well, that's the question. How much blood do we take out? Ask your mom. It'll be interesting to know. How much blood are we allowed? How much blood can we take out
Half
of?
a pint was a small amount. A pint, half a pint.
I'm not sure. I mean, again, I'm asking how much blood do we take out? Because we're not going to take out that much. We don't want to kill the person.
Oh.
But once we do take that out, though, the person we tell them you have to drink something, you have to do this, you can't walk away because you're walking on shaky grounds. Okay. So now what happens? We give the guy a chance. But does that mean that he couldn't live on less? No, it doesn't mean that. You could probably drain him more if you had to. And okay, he's not going to be able to run around. We're not talking about a person running around. Right. We're saying to sustain life, he would need to have 5 ounces. Let's say whatever it's going to be, 5 ounces. And by the way, if you think about it, to use mechanics for a second, if I have my car, okay, I put 5 quarts of oil, so that's a gallon and a quart, right? A gallon. How would you say that? A gallon and a quart of oil into my car. Normally it's 4 quarts, by the way. Normally it's 4 quarts into your engine, but it depends on how. Let's say a normal car, 4 quarts. Okay, so what happens if the car goes down? If you look at your dipstick, it lets you go down 1 quart, right? Let's say you go 2 quarts down. Is your car going to seize? No, it doesn't seize yet. 3 quarts, it may seize. It may start. It'll give you problems. But you can go down You can go down 2 quarts, and nothing is. You're hurting your engine. I'm not going to argue with you hurting your engine. But you can drive, okay? If you look at your radiator, again, think about how far I could push that car, or when the car's on E, and I'm driving. We've all, when you drive, you'll do that too. Every once in a while, you mess up, and you miss the gas station, and you're seeing E, you're getting afraid. But with the E, you still have like 10 miles to go. It's not really E. But they made it for idiots like us, who are pushing to the limit here. But that's what it is. When it's empty, then it stops. But so it could be that, I don't know how they came up with the number. I'm not sure if it's a Gemara and Sota. But they're saying the minimum amount to sustain life, not to have you running around. Just sustain life would be a revius. Okay? So it says, Al iske dam his heart yedchem. Thus I have cautioned you concerning the matters of blood, the laws of nida as well. Okay, so that's what he's giving over. And then Reishit karati yedchem. I called you the first. Now we're going to deal with that's verse deals with Israel is holy to Hashem, and the first of his grain, all that devour him will be accountable. Fine. Al iske Reishit his heart yedchem. So thus I've cautioned you concerning the matters of the first, namely the challah tithe. Nesham shatata b'chem kroi near. Now we get to the other part. The soul which I placed within you is called a candle. Al iske near his heart yechem, and thus I have cautioned you concerning matters of the candles kindling the Sabbath lights. Ima temekayim otam mutab. So if you fulfill these responsibilities, all is well. V'yim lav, if you do not, harini notel nishmatchem, I will take back your souls. That's what he wants to say. Okay, so it says in number 4, I will take back the revius of blood I have placed in you. I will abrogate your designation as first, and I will extinguish your soul that has been called a candle. The Mishnah states that women die for neglect of these laws, for they are usually the ones primarily responsible to observe them. The obligation to light Shabbat candles, for example, falls to the woman of the household, for she tends to be responsible for the affairs of the house. Likewise, observance of the nida laws is principally dependent on her, as is responsibility to tithe challah. She is usually the maker of the family bread. Okay, so it wasn't, if a man is making the bread, a man is obligated to take challah. Okay, it's not if there is no woman in the house, or if your wife cannot light Shabbos candles, then you are supposed to light Shabbos candles. It's not that it's only the woman who can light Shabbos candles. It's the only one who can make challah. It's not her mitzvah versus our mitzvah. But she gets top billing for the mitzvot. The question would be why, but that's what it is. And so he's saying she's normally home. So since she's normally the one that's getting it, so we give it to her. Okay? So we have seen. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm over time. Okay, we'll stop here.
Okay.